The markets are closed, but the business stories are just heating up. Hello, I'm Mai Rodriguez. Catch up with us on Business Brew. Asian markets were higher early Friday after Wall Street rallied for the third day due to hopes for the Federal Reserve to slash the interest rates. The rally was boosted by hopes that U.S. President Donald Trump was softening his approach on tariffs and his criticism of the Federal Reserve. Japan's Nikkei 225 gained 1.90%. South Korea's Kospi rose 0.88%. Hong Kong's Hang Seng picked up 1.44%, while Shanghai Composite Index gained 1.24%. The U.S. dollar gained ground in Asia, rising against the yen, Singapore dollar, Korean won, and Thai baht, while holding steady versus the Hong Kong dollar and slipping slightly against the Australian dollar. Meanwhile, gold traded at more than $3,300. WTI crude at $63.16, Brent at $66.92, and Dubai crude at $68.10. In crypto, Bitcoin hovered at more than $93,000 and Ethereum more than $1,700. President Donald Trump warns he could reimpose reciprocal tariffs on several countries within 2 to 3 weeks if they fail to engage in trade talks with Washington. This latest threat raises the risk of a re-escalation in the global trade war, a flashpoint that has already stoked fears of a slowdown in both the U.S. and world economies. Trump had temporarily suspended the tariffs 2 weeks ago to give room for negotiations. But with no major breakthrough so far, he now plans to raise the issue directly with world leaders when he travels to Rome to attend the funeral of Pope Francis. Any fresh round of tariffs could affect global supply chains, including those linked to Philippine exports, manufacturing, and investment flows.
Do you have meetings with other world leaders when you're in Rome?
Yes, I will.
Which leaders do you want to meet, sir?
Well, I'd like to meet them all. That would be nice. I'd like to take care of all of them, but we have many of them there, and they all want to meet. They want to meet about trade. And we are making some great inroads and great deals.
China has reportedly rolled back its 125% tariffs on some semiconductors made in the U.S. This is based on reports by CNN, citing 3 import agencies from Shenzhen City in southern China. The exemptions apply to microchips or semiconductors, but this has not been officially announced. On April 12, China raised its reciprocal tariffs to 125% for all goods originating from the U.S. This is in retaliation to President Trump's move to hike levies on Chinese goods to a whopping 145%. Chinese authorities have not confirmed the exemptions publicly. China's Ministries of Commerce and Foreign Affairs have yet to issue a statement on the matter. The auto industry is said to be affected by the tariffs imposed by President Trump. Vince Socco, chairman of GT Capital Auto and Mobility Holdings, shares with Bilyonaryo News Channel's Business 360 that car parts being exported from the Philippines to the U.S. will be impacted by these tariffs. He explains that if demand drops, it will lead to a reduction in exports as well.
However, what's equally important is there might be an opportunity for us to increase in the event that production does increase in the U.S. I mean, the announced or indicative tariff to be imposed on the Philippines is 17%, which is much lower than our ASEAN neighbors. So there is an advantage for us and an opportunity if we can really position ourselves for this eventuality.
U.S. and South Korea aim to finalize a trade framework before the tariff pause expires in July. Seoul is pushing for exemptions while offering collaboration in shipbuilding, energy, and digital trade. Technical discussions are set next week with another round of meetings in Seoul by mid-May.
We had a very successful bilateral meeting with the Republic of South Korea today. We may be moving faster than I thought, and we will be talking technical terms as early as next week as we reach an agreement on understanding as soon as next week. So South Koreans came early, they came with their A game, and we will see if they follow through on that.
Despite U.S. urgency, South Korea's political timeline, including the June election, may slow progress. Auto tariffs and digital service face the most risk if talks stall. President Donald Trump's meme coin jumped over 60% after a high-stakes dinner offer went public. Top 220 holders of the Trump coin were promised a gala dinner with the president. The top 25 gained access to a VIP reception and a private tour. But the offer notes Trump may not attend with a limited NFT offered instead. The Trump coin crashed earlier this month but rebounded on news of the event and the token unlock delay. Analysts say the Trump coin has already generated over $350 million in fees for linked entities. We have to pause for a few reminders. The biggest business stories from around the country are up next. Keep it here on Business Brief, only on the Bilyonaryo News Channel. Canada says the Philippines is on track to achieve upper middle income status by next year, despite mounting global risks and uncertainty in world trade. This milestone could mark a turning point for investor confidence, foreign direct investments, and the country's long-term economic trajectory. Sujin Kim has more.
The Philippines is inching closer to a long-awaited economic milestone.
We anticipate graduating to upper middle income country status by next year.
Chief Economic Planner Arsenio Balisacan is confident that the country will achieve upper middle income status by 2026 despite rising global risks and deepening uncertainty in world trade.
Nobody expected that uncertainty would heighten this far. We're crossing our fingers. I think that there are risks out there, but we also have been quite watchful and vigilant. No? We are adjusting our policy tools to ensure that our economy maintains its resilience amid these uncertainties.
With the release of first quarter GDP figures just ahead, economic managers are looking to the numbers for clarity on how the country is weathering global headwinds. The government is still betting on a 6% growth target for 2025.
As of now, we are sticking to that. We hope that the numbers are not that bad. There were many times in the past when we outperformed the growth prospects or target estimates of IMF or even World Bank or ADB.
Next week, middle-income nations, including the Philippines, will gather to push for structural reforms and strategic cooperation in the face of global volatility.
Middle-income countries such as the Philippines are well positioned to take on a bigger role, both economically and politically, in the global stage.
The high-level conference of middle-income countries will take place from April 28 to 29 in Makati City. Sujin Kim, Bilyonaryo News Channel.
BDO started strong in 2025, but rate cuts and the peso slide appear to slow down growth. Let's get more from our reporter Sujin Kim in Pasay City. Sujin, go ahead.
BDO Unibank reported a record high net income of 82 billion pesos in 2024, marking a 12% increase from the previous year. However, growth moderated to 7% in the first quarter of 2025. This amid spread compression, peso depreciation, and front-loaded operating expenses. The bank's return on average common equity stood at 13.8% as of March, slightly below last year's 14.3%, while total assets rose 6% year-on-year. BDO saw broad-based lending growth, with total customer loans climbing 12% to 3.3 trillion pesos. Despite the rapid expansion in credit, asset quality remained healthy. The non-performing loan ratio fell to 1.77% from 1.83% at year-end. The bank's book value per share increased by 12% to 111 pesos, while Common Equity Tier 1 or CET1 ratio improved to 14.4%. BDO emphasized its strong capital position, stating there are no near-term plans for capital raising. BDO expects loan growth to match 2024 levels. However, the bank anticipates a slight slowdown in net interest margin performance due to monetary easing and spread compression. Meanwhile, to support shareholder returns, the board approved a 10% increase in regular quarterly dividends from a peso to a peso and 10 centavos beginning quarter 2 of this year. And those are latest updates from Pasay City. Back to you, Mai.
Thank you for that report, Susan Kim. Amid global uncertainty, the government raised 300 billion pesos from new 10-year treasury bonds. Investors locked in as yields averaged 6.286%. The offer closed early due to overwhelming bids. The bonds list on April 28, maturing in 2035. Big funds like corporates and retirement groups led the charge. The BSP's dovish stance fuels optimism for future auctions. The Department of Energy is calling on Meralco to lower electricity rates after Congress renewed the power distributors franchise for another 25 years until 2053. At the 2025 Giga Summit of the Meralco Power Academy, Energy Secretary Rafael Lotilla stressed that a distribution utility's performance should be evaluated based on its ability to provide affordable power to Filipino consumers, particularly in the current economic climate, where cost of living increases are putting pressure on households and businesses. He acknowledged that Meralco's rates are still higher than those of other electric cooperatives and distribution utilities in the country. This raises questions about competitiveness in the sector, especially as many businesses rely on affordable power to drive operations and stay compliant with global sustainability standards. However, he commended Meralco's use of technology in disaster response and stability, a crucial aspect for ensuring reliable power delivery, particularly in a country that faces regular natural calamities. He urged other operators to adopt similar technological solutions, which could improve the industry as a whole and help lower costs over time. Bilyonaryo Manny Pangilinan says Meralco is working to lower power rates in response to pressure from the public and the government to make electricity more affordable. This follows the Energy Secretary's call for Meralco to lower prices after Congress renewed its 25-year franchise. At Meralco's Giga Summit, Pangilinan, the company's chairman and CEO, says they hope to reduce costs at the distribution level. He explains that Meralco continues to face criticism over rates, even though it doesn't generate electricity or profit from it. Despite this, he says lowering rates is in the company's best interest, especially as energy costs affect both households and businesses. More than 160,000 tons of waste are removed from 3.3 kilometers of rivers and drainage channels near the Ninoy Aquino International Airport, a step toward improving the area's environmental resilience and mitigating flooding risks in this highly congested part of Metro Manila. This cleanup drive is led by San Miguel Corporation's new NAIA Infra Corporation in partnership with Better Rivers PH. Bilyonaryo Ramon Ang says it's part of their effort to protect the airport from flooding and support nearby communities in becoming safer and more resilient. The initiative is also part of a larger river rehabilitation program across Metro Manila and Bulacan, aligning with the country's efforts to improve urban infrastructure and ensure sustainable development. The NEDA approves a 74.6 billion peso program to combat food insecurity and undernutrition through electronic vouchers under the Refuel Project. The initiative aims to expand access to nutritious food for vulnerable households, building on the Walang Gutom 2027 food stamp program, targeting nearly 1 million households using the DSWD's Listahan 3 database. NEDA Secretary Arsenio Balisacan says the project focuses on ending involuntary hunger, supporting vulnerable communities, and promoting resilience through nutrition-sensitive social protection. The Refuel program expands the DSWD's Food Strategic Transfer and Alternative Measures program. Business Brief will be right back. Stay with us. You're still watching Business Brief. Globe Telecom's new president and CEO, Carl Raymond Cruz, is determined to make the company the most profitable in the connectivity industry during his term. This could have a big impact on the Philippines' telecom sector and digital economy. Cruz, who previously led Airtel Nigeria, believes Globe's mobile and e-wallet business will help achieve this goal. He says Globe is building a progressive and inclusive digital nation, a plan that supports the country's growing digital transformation. He is confident that he can lead Globe to the top of the industry despite market challenges and make it one of the biggest telecom companies in the country. Philippine shares rebounded after closing in positive territory on the final trading day of the week. The PSE index ended higher by almost 2% to close at 62.68, finishing the day as the third best performer in Asia. Week on week among sectoral indices, only mining and oil ended in the red, with holding firms rising the most at more than 2%. Advancers outpaced decliners 117 to 79. Among the day's most active stocks, only DigiPlus ended in the red, inching down by more than 5%, while Bloomberry Resorts has the biggest gain, rising by almost 20%. Meanwhile, at the foreign exchange market, the peso currently trading at 56.38, strengthening from Thursday's close of 56.56. That's a wrap for today's Business Brief. I'm Mai Rodriguez. Join us again next week as we bring you the stories that help you plan your next big, bold moves in business, only here on the Bilyonaryo News Channel. See you then.